What's up, Bulldogs? Hope you're all doing great. I'm coming at you again. Jack Robertson here, and I'm going to be speaking to you today about intellectual peace. Yes, we're doing an ongoing series here about peace, about the peace that I came to, the kind of peace I'm experiencing. This is something I must mention I'm still growing in. I'm still growing in peace. But with this epiphany, I'm able to share it with you. Hopefully, you guys can grow in peace with me. We can share things with one another. One thing I've learned from John Sonmez. Never mind about this tangent here. It was about leadership and something I learned from him about your mentors, but it doesn't matter at all. Forget about it. Moving on. Intellectual peace is something that I think fundamentally we all have. It sounds ridiculous, but I think it's really the case. Because if you break down what fundamentally a lack of peace in the mind is, it's always mental things that can be dealt with, right? It comes down to a few categories: focusing on things that are outside of your control, having expectations, having a victim mindset, rejecting truths, rejecting reality, having a will for things, like wanting things to be a certain way rather than just the way that they are, not controlling your mind, seeing things in a negative way when you could see them in a positive way. These are all symptoms of a lack of mental peace, but they're also things that you can deal with. So if you remove these things, what are you left with? Intellectual peace. That's what I mean when I say that fundamentally we all have intellectual peace. That's what I mean. I'm not perfect. I'm still growing in this peace. But we also want to have our ideal in the back of our minds. We want to be aware of why we're not at peace. We want to be aware of the thoughts that are going on in our mind, of the mindset and the perceptions that we're having, and we want to manage these so that we find the best peace that we can have. And the best way we can do this is through two methods. First is discernment of our thoughts. Second is management of our thoughts. What do I mean by that? Being discerning about your thoughts is about being aware of where they come from, right? A lot of the times, they're not coming from a trustworthy place. Our thoughts can be influenced from our past, from worries about the future. It can come from internal struggles, from negative external influences, also positive ones. This is why our thoughts, a lot of the time, cannot be trusted. So you've got to be discerning. You've got to think, what am I feeling right now? Where is this thought coming from? Be objective about what the thought is. For example, I watch a man by the name of Elliot Hulse quite a lot, and he said one time that he really couldn't be bothered to come and make the video he was doing. Right, he just could not be bothered, and because he was still a little bit ill and he was a bit grumpy because he had to do it. That's fair enough, and he had the thought in his mind, why are you still doing this? How long are you going to do this for? You're just going to keep doing it forever. Like, what's next? Why don't you just stop this? And he just thought to himself, that's an unproductive thought. Why am I thinking that? He completely ignored it. That's a demon trying to ruin my life and set me off my path. That's what he thought. Because he knew the only reason that thought was there was because of the feeling he was having. And feelings change. A lot of us, myself included, obviously, I'm only 19, make a lot of long-term decisions based on short-term emotions, and that is not the way to do it. I think most of us, certainly all of us here in the Bulldog Mindset membership, I would think, know this, that we should not let our emotions dictate our actions. That is one of John Sonmez's best rules, I think, is that we should not let our emotions dictate our actions. But to do that, we got to be aware of what we're thinking. We got to be aware of where these thoughts are coming from and what the circumstance is. Sometimes our thoughts can be positively influenced by our feelings. We could have maybe a joyful thought about something, and that could produce we could have a joyful feeling about something, my bad, and that could produce a joyful thought. Maybe, but if it comes from any kind of emotion, it's probably best to wait until the feeling has passed so we can properly discern it without the influence of that emotion, because emotions always tick with our mind. So we want to be clear of that. That's being discerning, right? Where is this thought coming from? Also, what kind of thought is it? Is it beneficial? Is it not? Right? These kinds of questions are what we need to be asking ourselves when we are being discerning about our thoughts. Think of a relationship you've maybe been in, right? You've maybe seen the red flags in someone and created excuses for it. Have you done that? You done that before? I think you have. I have. I've done it multiple times. Never has turned out well. That's the reason that we have standards, is that we stick to them. We do not ever make excuses for them, right? We never make excuses for our standards, right? That's an important rule that I think we all know deep down. So that's being discerning. Second thing I mentioned is management. What do we do with these thoughts then? Well, it's quite simple. When you notice, right? When you notice a thought that's entered your mind and you've discerned it, and we're going to use, since we're speaking about peace, the example that it's a negative thought. It's not a thought we want. It's not a thought that is allowing us to have peace. It's taking peace away from us. So what do we do? There's a few things we can do. We can engage with it, or we can run from it. Now, it sounds quite appealing to engage with it, concerning the alternative is just running away. We should never suppress our emotions or our thoughts. That's key. I'm not denying that. But I'm sure we're all familiar with the story of Adam and Eve, right? How the first two human beings, about 50,000 years ago, staying in a garden in Eden, in Mesopotamia, were tempted by Satan to eat from a tree that they shouldn't have. And in doing so, they broke God's law and plunged the universe into chaos, right? We're all familiar with that story. Many Catholics assert the first mistake that Eve made when Satan saw her was engagement. Satan comes up to Eve and he goes, "Hey Eve, see that tree there?" And she goes, "What about that tree, Satan?" That is when she screwed up. That's what we don't want to do. Because the idea is that Satan is much older and wiser and smarter than you. He's been doing this for 50,000 years. Longer, in fact. So you don't want to engage with him because you do not stand a chance. And if you philosophically internalize the idea of Satan, then of course you can understand what the story is trying to say. When you have these negative thoughts that come into your mind, it can be tempting to battle with them. But ultimately, you're battling with a mind that you can't win over. You're battling with your emotions, you're battling with past trauma, or wherever the thought is coming from. And you're never going to win. So you got to protect your mind from it, right? This is why people do meditation, because they learn to see a thought and look away. I've been told by Elliot Horst that the mind is the battlefield of the soul, right? And your mind is kind of like a house, right? A thought, a demonic thought, as I'll call it. Let's say it's about anxiety. It comes up, knocks on your head, and you open the door. The knocking is the emotion, right? Then you open the door. Hello, what is it? And you're gonna have to do that business presentation later. You're gonna fail. You haven't prepared for it. You're gonna fail, man. What are you gonna do? I'm trying to help you here. Now, what you're gonna do? You can either let that bad neighbor into your house, or you can go, no way, I am not listening to that guy. Shut the door and go back to your work or whatever it is that you're doing. That's how we do it. It's very simple, but it's often quite difficult. Sometimes, especially since we're dealing with emotions, there's always information where there's emotion. Sometimes you need to get a journal or something like that and basically write down all the thoughts that are coming out of your emotion, so that when you're in a clearer mind, you can go back to it and you can kind of solve the problem. Sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes it's coming from a place that you just need to ignore. It's coming from past trauma. And as such, it's just your subconscious doing its thing and you need to leave it be. Or it's coming from an outside influence, right? There's a lot of pressure nowadays for young guys to be very promiscuous. I think it is a terrible idea. And so whenever I head out to the pub, then I'm bombarded, depending on which pub it is, to engage in this activity of being promiscuous. And I'm smart enough to do it, but I do that. I don't want to do that. It's not how I want to live my life. So whenever I get the thought that I'm missing out or I'm not fitting in, first things first, I'll say, I don't want to fit in with these degenerates. And second, I'm just going to not deal with it. after that. I don't really engage with the thought, to be honest, but that's the thing I keep in my head, is that I don't actually want to be popular nowadays, especially since many people my own age still seem to think they're in high school, socially at least. Now, what is a good way to deal with these thoughts when they're being really, really persistent? Because a lot of the times you can't just sit there in silence and they'll go away. A lot of times they're going to be there. And so even if you don't actively produce more thoughts, your brain will still make more thoughts come in. So we need something more practical, right? You can use a mantra for this. I'm going to give you a Catholic one because it's the only one that I know. And it is called the Jesus Prayer, or the Prayer of the Heart, right? You don't have to use this one, but you can appreciate the idea and come up with one yourself, perhaps. It's a simple 4-part prayer that sometimes is shortened to just 2 parts. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Or shortened, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. The idea is that the Catholic idea of Jesus is that he is a very strong, terrifying alpha male, that he can make any demon, including Satan himself, absolutely terrified. So when you've got a demon knocking at your door, you call on his name, which terrifies the demon, and you ask him to be merciful, to protect you, because you're not morally perfect. So you need his mercy, right? Because the Christian idea is that Jesus was actually God in human form. So that's the idea behind that one. But it needs to be something like that, that's some mantra that reminds you that you are protected and that that thought doesn't have any power over you, right? Now, I'm not here to speak about the same things that John has been speaking about. I'm not here to regurgitate his teachings, because I'm not here to waste your time. I'm here to obviously help you out with the things that I have learned. But one thing he gets absolutely right is that the main key to happiness, fulfillment, and peace is acceptance, right? This level of no matter what happens, you being happy with it. This is exactly what Christ means when he said, Father, please take this challenge away, but whatever your will be done, let it be not mine. That is entirely what Jesus meant. He said that right before he went to the cross, actually, and died. So this level of acceptance is really, really key to this intellectual piece, also to spiritual peace, and thus emotional peace as well. It is absolutely key. But another level to it that John hasn't spoken about is having a will for things, right? Having a will, a desire for specific things, right? Now this sounds it sounds normal, it sounds fine. There doesn't seem to be any kind of a problem with it. Like, what do you mean, Jack? What's wrong with me wanting things in life? Well, I'm not speaking about the want that is the preference itself. It's good to have preferences, right? But what I mean is, when I say want, I mean that aching desire for it, right? That lack of satisfaction you have now because of this thing you desire, right? Let's say you desire to become financially free like I am. This was exactly what brought me to this, actually, because I was praying because I recognized it had been revealed to me that I was not completely content where I was, because I'd prefer to be financially free, to have a business, right? To be doing personal development stuff on the internet like John is doing. Okay, that's what I would prefer, but I'm not doing that yet. And so I wasn't content where I was. And so I realized what I had to do, and it was I had to let go of that. I had to keep it as a preference, like, okay, that is something I would like. I'd like to be doing that, but I don't have to be. You take the word want out of it, and it just becomes a preference. You go, I prefer that, but I don't really want it. And want, obviously, is referring to the aching desire for it. It doesn't mean that you can't use desire and emotion effectively and in a positive way. You absolutely should. The most successful people in the world say that again and again and again and again, right? You should always be using your emotion to fuel your drive to get what you want. But there is a difference, I think, between using that emotion responsibly and not being content as a result of irresponsibly using that emotion, if that makes sense. Nowadays, I don't have a will for anything. There's a lot of things I'd prefer. I prefer to get on a call with my friend tonight, but if that doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. I prefer to not go and work tonight, but I have to do a night shift at my work, so I've got to go. I would prefer to go out to the pub on Saturday night, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get a cover up for my Saturday shift, so I'm probably going to have to work. But that's okay. I'm not disappointed because I never expected that I was going to get these things. And I'm not frustrated because I didn't have an aching desire for them. I don't have an aching desire for them. But this is something I'm working on. There's been many times where I have wanted to be on a call with my friend. And because of that want, because of that desire, I have then not felt or intellectually been at peace in those moments. Spiritually, I am most of the time at peace. Of course, that's going to be in another video. But that's that. I hope you can understand that concept. If you have queries about it, questions, leave it in the comments because there will probably be a lot. This is a really, really um, outstanding philosophical concept. I think if you really grasp this idea, it will give you a lot more peace and freedom in your mind. So that's what I got for you. That is intellectual peace. I hope this helps you and that it made sense and that you can apply it to your life. We can go a lot more in depth into this if you want. Just tell me in the comments what things you're maybe struggling with, and if you want more, because I have a few things up here planned that I could say. Just if you guys didn't say anything and you said, Jack, I want more, I could give you a few things, right? But if there's anything in particular you're struggling with when it comes to peace, or when it relates to anything that is taking peace away from you that you want to share, do it. So I will be seeing you guys very soon, and let me know how this works. Cheers.